What are we jamming on now? Jay, what are you jamming on now? It looks like fucking chaos behind you, man.
Dude,
what is that?
Hi-Fi Rush, man. Come on. Have you not got swept up in the hype yet? You've not heard? You're not in the tree, the trust?
It's not an Oculus. It's not an Oculus, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, Josh. Okay, let me educate you. So, recently, a couple weeks ago, at any rate, a couple weeks ago, very recently, Microsoft held like a developer direct where, you know, they had just a showcase of like a few of our developers who were just putting out some games. And one of them was Hi-Fi Rush. And most of them were just like, hey, we're having this game. It's coming out, showing you the trailer, like some cinematics talking about it, letting you know when it's going to drop, including this game. But then it was like, hey, this game is available in a couple hours on Game Pass. So I was like, oh, okay. And it looked really cool. And people like were pretty interested in it.
What's the developer?
It's Bethesda. Bethesda Softworks. Dude, and it's so good. It's a rhythm combat game, and it is just phenomenal. It is like one of the top games on Game Pass right now. It blew up, and I'm not just hyping it up to hype it up. Like, I played it and I continue to play it. It's so good. It's kind of hard to explain without seeing it, but it's a combat game, like you're fighting, but it's based on rhythm as well. And it's done in such a really well done way. The art is really interesting and unique. You can kind of see it behind me. I definitely encourage you to go check it out. But it's just like, it's the animation's really well done. The story's really well done. The characters are funny. They have personality. Like all the thing, it's fun. Like, it's a fun game to play. Like, all the elements you want in a game are just there.
The robots remind me of something that I cannot put my fucking finger on what it is. It's like I don't know, some kind
like
of
a Japanese anime, like enemy kind of robot.
No, I mean I don't watch anime, so that can't be it.
Okay.
It's like a movie or something. I can't think of what the fuck it is. But anyhow,
dude, you have to check it out. You have, like, I heard people kind of talk about it because the direct happened when I was like driving and like on a call or something. So I kind of missed this part of it. I just kind of heard the hype and said, okay, you know, I'll have to check it out. And yeah, it's really good. It's one of those games, like, the kids can be completely doing their own thing in the other room, but they hear me playing it and they like rush and come in and like have to sit down and watch. Like, it's that type of game. So I can't say enough about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil the story, even talk about it any further. Just check it out. Go check it out. Second game I've been playing, Age of Empires 2. Man, it is on console now.
Are they only on 2? There hasn't been another one since.
There is. There's 3
remaster.
and 4. Yeah, 3 and 4 dropped as well on PC as well. But yeah, 2 is now on console on the Xbox, and they have a lot of shortcuts and things you can do now that you couldn't do on the PC back in the day. And it's just, it makes it a smoother, better experience. It's so good that in my Elder Scrolls Online like Discord chat, everybody's talking about Age of Empires 2 and like how everybody's been like staying up late playing it with their spouses way too long, and it is like,
yeah. You know what that shows, Jay? I think that only old people play Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, so hey, I got no comebacks to that. But it's a solid game, is all I'm saying. Like, it's funny when that kind of game starts taking over other areas of chats that are usually specific to another kind of game, you know. And then
I'd be surprised. Well, I don't know, who knows what Jab's doing with Xbox these days. I think he said his broke, and I'm sure he hasn't got a new one. So, but he was all over that years ago. I think we talked about that before.
It's worth it. Yeah, I can't wait for the other ones. Like, they have to be working on the next ones to come out on console too. So, cannot wait for that.
Well, I thought it already did, didn't it? Or no, that was only the new one.
No, this is the first one. Yeah, the new one only came out on PC.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was okay. Word. I'm surprised games even bother to do that. I mean, I guess Civ does that, so that shouldn't be surprising. But I mean, it's eventually worked on to most of the. I know it's on fucking Switch, I believe, but it took a while, I guess. But I'm surprised that like a major AAA game would even think about not having that. Having a new game hit all the platforms at once, you know, it just kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, you have to think that kind of thing is kind of being phased out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know though, but there's so many games that come to PC first though, just because I think of the ease of doing it. You know what I mean? You can't just, if you want to make a game and you're an indie developer, you have the tools. You can just go do it, and put it out on Steam without having to, negotiate with big, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo.
Sure.
Kind of get their seal of quality, kind of all that kind of stuff. And I don't really know what that's like. So I just know it's easier. You can just drop stuff on Steam.
Yeah. It probably has nothing to do with technology. But I'm talking again. I'm saying AAA developers too, though. Like, that obviously takes anything like that out of it. It's just a matter. I'm sure there's a technological ease, and those games. It makes sense to me from a practical. Like, I wouldn't want to play Civ on a console under any circumstance. Just not going to do it because it's a mouse.
That's only some of the exactly.
So it doesn't bother me at all that they don't do it. I'm just surprised that they don't.
But I think that's why this is so impressive to me, like Age being on console now, because of the way.
Yes, the real time. I haven't played. Like I mentioned in the chat last night, like real time strategy equals stress to me. I'm not something I'm seeking out.
Loved it.
But I used to, there was a phase in my life. Warcraft 2, I fucking loved those. And the thing about those, the most stressful part of those games is highlighting a group of fucking soldiers and getting them to do what you want and the amount of time you want them to do it. I can't imagine having to. I don't know I'm sure they have a workaround.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, that specific scenario is so much smoother on the console now. Yeah, like the shortcuts on the console. It makes like the quality of life improvements. That's like those type of things specifically are like, oh my gosh, like my wife just sitting there making those comments like, this is so much easier, because of course it wants you to go through a quick tutorial like, here's how to play this on the console. And once you get it, it's like, oh yes, like it's so much smoother of an experience to get groups to do things.
Does it dumbify it, or does it make it easier? Does it just do it for you?
No, it makes it easier. You can it's so much smoother and quicker, like with your buttons to like get groups to do things, and like it's I don't want to get too technical, but it's better. Trust me. If you ever had those specific issues with like a Civ, like, and you were at all a fan of Age of Empires, go play it. On
Civ's turn-based, so it's not a problem on there. But Warcraft and Warcraft 2, like, and I remember it so vividly. The most you could highlight at one time, because those games are so fucking old, was 9 dudes at once. So you're like, if you really want to, if you have an army ready to roll and you really want to go dump on someone, it was like a fucking scramble to get them to like. I think too you could highlight more, but I maybe it was the first one that was only 9 at a time. But it was such a thing to like really coordinate large groups of soldiers and have them do exactly what you wanted.
Oh man,
in concert together, it was such a fucking difficult thing.
Oh man, this one you can hold down a button and just like select a wide area of people who might be like right together. You can like just double tap the one soldier and just get all of just that type. You can like press I think left stick or something and just highlight all of your military. You know what I mean? There's more like multiple different options of like different layers and groups you can kind of highlight and just like go attack or go to this area type of thing. And it allows for so much variability, and probably going to play some after we finish recording again.
Word.
I know. I think Zion and Court are actually playing some right now.
That's crazy that they make games like that accessible to
and it's
kids,
fantastic.
Kids these days.
So just that, and lots of ESO, lots of testing out new builds to help buff group content for in-game raids. So that's kind of fun, just continuing to just optimize and kind of say like, what is that secondary buff set that if we had that in our raid team, that would kind of just push damage just over the top, so we could do like an in-game trifecta. So that's been fun as well. What about you, brother? What you been playing, sir? What is this God game behind you? Like?
Yes, I'll get to that. Before we even talk about games, though, I want to quickly do a tangent on something I normally don't talk about on here. But Last of Us on HBO, are you watching it yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, so bro, like how much of a twat I am about, especially licensed IP being converted.
Yeah, like what are you even talking about? Like, why is this even
so
talking
I mean,
about
and like when I first heard about it, it's funny. So I first of all, I love the game. I played the first game on PS3, I think it was, all the way through. It's just amazing story in video game form. Like absolutely loved it. I bought the remaster on PS4. I never really got into it. There was something, I can't remember what it was. There was something wonky about it that I couldn't fucking get into playing the game. So I never really got anywhere, even after buying the remaster. But I mean, I bought a remaster, which I don't normally do. So especially just one generation later is especially crazy behavior, I think, for me, buying a remaster. But in any event, love the game. But I was completely uninterested in this up front. Like, my expectation was, yes, it was just more licensed schlock bullshit from Hollywood, gurgitating out because they can't even begin to come up with something that's good, original idea, and, the system has zero balls when it comes to supporting not yet heralded filmmakers with good ideas who are outside of it. So that's my stance on that, and I, in turn, was not interested in watching this, thinking it was just that. And I also thought, for some reason or another, that it was a Netflix show. And Netflix, sadly, is now the whitewash network that takes zero chances, and 99% of it is just, everything coming out on it is dog shit. So a new Netflix show, like, fucking die in a ditch, I'm not interested. So, especially that's licensed. So I was just like, no fucking way. Had I known it was HBO, I probably would have been a little less averse to it. Their quality output is the polar opposite of Netflix. Everything they do is fucking great. So if I'd have known that, I probably would have at least been more open to it. But Amy mentioned it. She's like, it's funny when she's constantly watching shit on her phone that I would never even touch with a 10-foot pole. She knows that. She doesn't even bring it up. Like, it's just not happening, right. So she mentioned, though, she's like, do you want to watch this? And I'm like, Last of Us? I'm like, no, fuck that. No, fuck. Again, I didn't know it was HBO yet. I was just like, I don't fucking want to watch that. And then I saw Jim Cummings, who is one of my indie filmmaking fucking superheroes. He made the Beta Test was his last one. Thunder Road was a big. He had a short that did Sundance, and then got to make the feature as a result of that. That also did Sundance. Phenomenal film. I cannot recommend looking that film up enough. His new one's a little bit. Beta Test is a little niche-y, I think. It's not nearly as widely consumable. In any event, great filmmaker. Fucking love him. And I mentioned he tweeted about it, and he said it was just fucking incredible. And I was like, okay, fine. And so, yeah, we watched it, dude. And yes, dude, it is, I just can't believe how good it is. I can't believe they're walking the line of adhering to and respecting the original IP so closely. And also just being, like, if it didn't have shit to do with The Last of Us, it would just be incredible anyways, And, like, that has really got to be so hard to do, It's why most licensed stuff is shitty, because they're making fucking jokes and winking about fucking dumbass. It's just, but none of that is in there, man. And it is just a perfectly done adaptation of something. They're like, I think 4 episodes in, maybe 3, I think. And fuck HBO. The one thing I hate with HBO, they fucking do the weekly. They dump it out once a week thing. They're feeling like fucking it's 1997 or something. It's like, fucking just give me the whole thing. I don't need to fucking do this. I would already be done with it for sure. But yeah, it's really good. I highly, highly recommend. And this is a video game podcast, so it's semi-topical, I think, but really fucking well done. And yeah, cannot recommend it enough. So good.
That is funny.
Did you play the game or?
I have the game. It came on my PlayStation 4, which I hardly ever turned on. You know what I mean? I played it once, and the kids were like around me, and of course they were like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "All right, I can't play this around the kids."
It is not child material now.
Yeah,
it's very, very, very serious subject matter.
Yeah, it's honestly one of those like out of sight, out of mind things that I just forgot about because I never have that system turned on. But now with it, I keep hearing about the show, which unfortunately we just canceled HBO because we're like, what show are we watching on HBO right now? So we just canceled it. But I keep hearing about the show. So now I'm thinking, all right, maybe I need to go back and actually play the game. Get it done.
So good, yeah. So good. Yeah, I mean, that's also why I like it. It takes something, it's a fucking... It's not... calling it just a zombie thing is not at all... That's not doing it justice or being fair to it, I don't
That's
think,
why I'm glad it's more than that, because I was just kind of like, it's zombies. What? It's just another zombie thing. But
even that aspect of it, it's not. It's a pandemic is what it is. And it manifests itself in a way that is very... zombie-like, I guess, but that's not at all what's going on with it. And yeah, it's very much same reason I love World War Z as a book. It's like instead of focusing on just like idiots shooting zombies in the head, like fucking Walking Dead or something, and just surviving out in the wasteland or whatever. It's like it really factors in the socioeconomic impact of something like that happening in the real world, and just does a really, really smart, interesting analysis and, just raising the different subjects that would come up in that context really well and really intelligently. And that's it. The game did that, and the show was doing that too. And yeah, highly recommend both. Anyways, on to gaming. I finally got the let out of my ass and started emulating arcade games. Jay, MAME is a little bit of extra work and knowledge to get the hang of, and that's why I've never done it, especially previous to RetroArch and like having to have a standalone MAME emulator. I even downloaded one and tried to do it years ago, and it's like fucking stereo instructions, like 80 stereo instructions. It's just really.
Even you saying MAME, I'm just like. Right.
Yeah, it's really they have like it's not like the same. It's because arcade games, they're all on different OS. Like the boards that make up an arcade cabinet all are kind of just it's not like having all they have to do is emulate a fucking Nintendo Entertainment System, and then every ROM will work for that. You know what I mean? So there's no standardized
arcade emulator.
Yeah, there's no standardized hardware to emulate. That's why. So MAME is constantly being updated, and then the ROM sets, the ROM chipsets, are also constantly being emulated. So like getting those two things to match up in an emulator is it's like a guessing game. So like. There are, I want to say, like 7 or 8 that are just downloadable cores in RetroArch. There's probably more out there, more versions, and RetroArch only bothers with these 7 or 8, whatever it is. So every time I download a ROM, I'm like, before I even like integrate it into my library with like getting the box art and all that shit, I'm like going through this process of like testing it with each one of the cores, each version of the main core rather I even found another one, Neo something plus, just in case, and that hasn't worked a single time. So maybe I'm wasting my time with that, but I don't even know. So like I'm like trying to with like 7 or 8 different things, and like when it doesn't work, it's not just like, at least not always. Sometimes it does just like go to the game screen and say something's wrong, something's missing, it doesn't work, whatever. But sometimes it just crashes the fucking emulator. Sometimes the fucking emulator freezes and I gotta go to fucking the task manager to close it. Like it's just like a fucking complete Wild West for whether or not a game's gonna work when you download it. So it's a lot more work, but I've kind of gotten the system worked out, and like not every ROM I'm downloading works going through that system. So sometimes I just end up deleting them, and because I'm not gonna have that game, so I'm not gonna do more. It's not that important to me for any of these games. Like I said, I don't have any nostalgia stuff or arcade stuff that's too strong. But I've gotten quite a few to work, and it's wild to play. I mean, I can't believe how well they work, and like it's just, I don't know, having an arcade game on your laptop is a very different feeling than one of the home systems. I don't know how to describe that difference, but there is one. And so so there's a bunch of stuff. I'm stacking a whole bunch of like the things that Rampage, Raston, Frogger, Marble Madness, Gunsmoke, X-Men. Couldn't get TMNT to work, the 4-player one, unfortunately. Or I don't know if I tried The Simpsons. I don't think I have tried The Simpsons. That one's not as important to me, but X-Men worked, and I was pleased about that. Because out of any of those like multiplayer beat 'em up that were in that era, X-Men's definitely my favorite, even over Turtles. So I was pleased that I got that one to work. But so yeah, there's a handful of games that I really, Frogger in particular, like that's definitely the best Frogger. Having that is fucking dope. Strider, dude, I got Strider. Strider
in the arcade,
dude. Sega of America did a fucking phenomenal job of that port, dude. It looks exactly the same. It sounds exactly the same. It feels exactly the same. It is the exact same fucking game. It's wild to me, dude, how great or how perfectly identical they are. They did such a good job with that port. So I got that one. And actually, I posted shit about that. There's, all these games. I'm mostly just downloading ones I played before. That's the thing, too. I don't have any idea. I didn't play arcade. I have a very small knowledge base with which to work from to even like what do I want to download or try to download. And I posted some shit about Strider, and one of our Instagram followers, what was his name? Samus Innie, said that there's a 1996 arcade game called Osman, OSMAN. That's a Strider like spiritual successor. That was in arcade, released in '96. And he's right about that. I downloaded that one. That's pretty good. So, like, I'm sure eventually I'll start to get to play shit that I've just never played before because of that, So that's a cool thing I've been fucking around with here and there. The Walkabout Atlantis course dropped. It's underwater. You know, that's my shit. It's fucking incredible. Very, very good. Minus 15 on my first easy course play, Jay. Even par on my first hard run, yeah.
Impressive.
Not to be even par on those fucking hard courses, especially the first time. Although every time I've said this before, like I usually have the distribution for the way my hard scores go is always a little funny in that it starts off a little lower than where I kind of settle at early. And then, of course, you get good at it and it works back down. Right. But like the first time through, I'm always a little better than like the second, third, and fourth times through. And I don't know why that is. But that is a definitively dependable data fucking trend, you know?
Maybe you just kind of come in instinctively doing what you think is the best move. Right. And then you overthink the third and fourth time, you're like, all right, I can do this a little better. I can try this move. And then so you just fail a little bit. You know?
Very good guess. Very good hypotheses, Jay. I got 13 of the 18 balls on my first go through, and I had the putter the first night, of course. Found all the balls since, so there's nothing too tough in there ball-wise. And then been jamming on Demeo on the reg. You and I got a game in on your birthday, which was cool. I haven't done that in a while. Actually, you got to take down the Serpent Lord with the Wizard Punch on your Dammy, which is pretty good. Pretty good birthday fodder, I think. I've been really pounding on Jab about this game, dude, and he claims... The other night, he claimed that he's downloading it next week. So
what?
Yes. So
we shall see.
Yeah, we might be able to play Demeo with Jab soon, which is pretty wild.
Nice.
I finished the last Clockwinder. That was fucking dope. Really, zero things about that declined as far as my enthusiasm or like it's just beautiful game, beautiful mechanics, such a good, brilliant use of VR's possibilities. Mm-hmm. The end was definitely challenging, and like I said, I was like going through and like really optimizing probably like the first half of the whatever you want to call those puzzles or whatever in the first half of the game. The back half had things that was just like, nope, just get it done and get to the next thing. Like no way in hell I'm going to get the maximum number of units per minute on this one, and that's not happening. So it got considerably more difficult, which of course lends itself to creating replay value if you want to try to optimize that stuff. I don't know. It's like, again, like the ways to it requires to really hit those more difficult ones would need more movement in a physical space than I have and even want to try to make happen for me. So I think it's a little bit of a distractor, I guess, but pretty fucking good either way. Incredible game. Like I just cannot recommend it enough. I tried. Have you seen? I bet these are not just VR things. Moss. Are you familiar with that?
No.
That franchise.
That? Huh.
So it's there's a one in it. There's a sequel and the first one on VR, and like it's got like a AAA feel to it. I'm trying to think what the developer is. I should have written that down. Bad podcasting. But it's you play a little mouse character, and it's like a fantastical. You're on an adventure. The first one, anyways. You're on an adventure in the forest, and you are and like you control. You're like he like does something in the very beginning that brings this omnipotent god figure into the world, kind of looking over him, and that god figure can manipulate things in the environment, and you got to control the mouse. So it's kind of like Carly and the Reaper combined. You have to deal with both mechanics, and it's not nearly as intricate of puzzles. Like it takes into consideration the fact that you're now controlling two entities, thankfully, but it does still have some puzzle elements too, for sure. And it's also got a little bit of action stuff going on with the mouse, and you got to like make him platform through the 3D environment and stuff. It's super fucking cute. It's absolutely beautiful, gorgeous game. Won a ton of awards. Has phenomenal presentation wrapped around the gameplay too, like the storytelling and stuff is really fucking good. I tried it because I was looking for a new story game, and it was another one of those ones where they did a free trial, so you got like 30 minutes of free access to it to try it out. And 100%, I was like, that game's been there. Those games have been there from square one, I think, when I got it and recommended in the store and stuff. And I was just like, kind of looking at it, I was like, it looks kind of like a fucking platformer, and that's not my favorite thing to do at all, let alone in VR. So I've kind of held off, but it's fucking great. I probably won't buy it. I didn't buy it. I thought about it. I got really close to it, but they're kind of expensive. The sequel is like $30 or $40. The first one is $20, I think, maybe. So I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna wait for a sale, but I probably will play them eventually. So fuck with that a little bit, and then yes, deism behind me, dude. So remember how I said I wanted to find a modern way to play Populous?
Yeah.
boom, this landed in my life. Like literally a week later.
Literally.
So it had been on my list. The Rough Talk VR guys covered it, and I knew it was a God game thing of some kind, and that they liked it and said it was pretty good. And then I saw it on sale as a bundle with Little Cities for $23.99. So Deism was $15, Little Cities was maybe the same, 15 or 20, something like that. And combined $24, so 30% off on both. So I bid on it. And Little Cities is kind of it's very close to that City VR game, the SimCity basically. It's a little cuter and a little more stylized, and they're all on little islands, so it's not like City VR is like just SimCity. It's like you have a huge sprawling landscape, and you build over it's a long-term thing. Little Cities is kind of like, as the name I guess would insinuate, it's like these little tiny problem sets on these little islands, and you're just trying to maximize this small amount of space. And it's much more focused on like the aesthetic, and you get style points for making it look pretty and pairing things. So it's a little less simmy, I guess, and a little more, I guess that's kind of an arcadey thing, or something a little different than traditional SimCity, I guess. Anyways, Deism is, yes, it's fucking populous, dude. So it's got a really cool base mechanic in that you start, and it's just like this very small square of land, and you are a god. So you have to build the world. So it starts a little earlier than Populous, I guess, but there's like this very small plot of land, and then you like can pull up this menu and you can just grab these building blocks for the world, like plots of grass, plots of forest, stone that can be mined, mountains, volcanoes if you want to put them down, so, water to build the oceans and stuff. And you literally just throw these things, and you like just throw them down, and it's like on a grid. And you throw down your square of water, and like, okay, then now that's water. And then you throw down a fucking plot of grass, and then you can take animals and populate that square with animals. Or, like I said, you can put a mine on it, or you can put a whole bunch of different things that kind of make it not manipulable, but so the human beings can extract things out of it, And then if you create an environment that could nurture human life develops in those spaces, and then you don't have direct control over them. They kind of act autonomously, and you as the god are trying to keep them allegiant to you from a religious perspective, and you can do all these things just like in Populous, where you can, like, if they do things you don't like, you can fucking take thunder or lightning and fucking strike them to death. You can throw locusts down to create famine in their fucking farm fields. Or you obviously, as other civilizations develop that are just inherently not following your religion, you can go over there and just wipe them out. Or like your developments, wow, or your cities, or whatever you want to call them, town centers, civilizations develop armies eventually too, and then they'll go out and kind of take over other cities or whatever, and of course that infuses your religion into it too. So it's funny, I don't really know the actual goal of the game, and I've even gotten to the point where I've built the world to a place, and it's pretty big, like the movement thing is pretty cool in that you just like, you hold the stick up and it creates this little light pointing down on a space, and you can just let go and teleport all the way over there. So you can like move pretty quickly across a pretty big map once you create it. But I've gotten to the point where on this first game I've started, where it won't let me build anymore. It says like you've built the max number of tiles. So the goal is not to just keep building. It's not like an infinite builder. And I mean, I guess I have not converted every human being on the map into my religion, so maybe that's the goal. But I don't know. I don't know if there's a total score. Like, I just don't know what the goal is. I don't know what the goal is. Like, you keep building stuff, and you're like, they'll like, eventually wipe out the forest, and you can regenerate the forest. Same with the animals and stuff, and like, they start building ships and trading amongst each other and stuff, and like, it develops kind of civilization-y to some degree, or even Age of Empires, I'm sure, like in that they kind of are acting autonomously, and there's like a commerce to it, and they need to trade. Certain things like developing weapons and stuff they can't build it themselves. It has to involve trade with other civilizations. They go through different phases of like industrial eras, information eras, like the buildings and stuff develop over time. It's like there's all these things that like suggest progress, but I don't know what the metric is to win, or if there even is one. So like it's a little weird of a game in that. And I didn't play Populous enough to know if it's like just a direct thing. It was fucking up for me. Like sometimes every third time maybe I turn it on and like the frame rate's all fucked up and choppy. And I have to basically power cycle the fucking Oculus a time or two to make that stop. So I tweeted the developer, and he's just a dude. He's like an indie developer that made the game. And I was like, hey man, is that like a fucking, is this a problem that like anyone else is reporting? Do you have a solution? Whatever. And he's like, no, it's been reported. It's pretty, of course he's saying that not a ton of people are reporting it. He's like, it's just kind of a thing. Like it's a bug. We don't really know. It goes away for most people. I guess for them, they're probably power cycling too. But anyways, I have an open dialogue with him. I kind of want to ask him like, what's the point of this game, dude? Like, what's the point? It's a great game. I'm into it, but I don't know what my goal is, and I'm curious.
Josh, you're the god. Like, you decide what the goal is. So, like,
that's true. Maybe, yeah. And there's like, so that you can like pick the people up. There's like heretics are a problem, so they'll develop, and they're like they're like kind of highlighted red, and they're like they run around your civilization. You just walk up to them, or you go over to where they're at, and you can reach down onto the ground and pick them up, and they go, uh-oh! Like you found them, and you can just whip them out into the fucking ether, and fucking to eliminate them. Or you can create these like whirlpools in the ocean, and you can drop them down that. You can like just bounce them off the side of a mountain, and they bust into fucking bones, like, so it really pushes all the God stuff a lot, it really gives you that power.
I'm watching a video of it. It looks interesting. Like I like the idea of it. How does it feel? How do you feel about the actual graphics in the world in VR? Like when you're actually playing it, because this looks very basic, but it's YouTube, yeah. So I know I can't tell.
Yeah, no, it's got that kind of. It's certainly the tone of it is cartoony too. But I've said that before. Like that, the Oculus is not trying to recreate AAA visuals.
No, I know that. This looks so basic. I'm like, does it feel like this when you're playing it, or does it feel better? Like it's not a problem when you're playing.
It's not a problem. No, it's like I said, it goes with the tone. Like a UFOs will come down, which I actually just learned you can like fucking fuck them up. I didn't realize that. You can like shoot them with thunder, and they like fucking topple over and fall down. Like fucking. So you can even like. Instill your will as a god onto the aliens visiting the planet. But yeah, if you like look up into the sky, you can see the sun and the moon, and they're like hyper polygonal. Like the goal is to feel the polygonal graphics. I think that's just the style of it. Like I said, it's one dude, so I wouldn't expect him to be polishing corners on polygons. Every polygon, it's probably was not the intent even at the outset of it. But yeah, it has that walkabout mini golf. Honestly, is the best comp I can think visually. Okay. There is I don't know. I'm sure they would love for it to look perfect, but like they're totally cool with it. I think having that cartoony polygonal look to it. That
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm sure that's also just a little bit of a limitation of the headset. Like that mobile fucking platform they have is not by any length. I'm sure PSVR 2 will be much better looking. Fucking Amber actually emailed me. That's rolling out. Demeo is rolling out on PSVR 2, I guess. She offered me a look at it. I'm like, I don't think I'm getting a PlayStation, but cool offer.
Yeah,
I bet it'll look cool on there.
Like I'm definitely not investing in both the PlayStation and the VR 2. Like I'm good, man.
No way. Yeah, and yeah, that's funny too. Like because Demeo actually looks really polished, and it doesn't.
Demeo looks great.
Yeah, so so it's not that it's not possible, but that's also a much smaller. It's just a little tiny board in a basement, and the basement actually does look kind of polygonal. So
yeah, but even when you zoom in, like all the characters, like they have detail and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
To me, that looks really great.
Yeah, but I'm just saying though, it's easier to do from a system performance perspective if it's just that tiny little area as opposed to doing that, rendering that for an entire fucking world.
That's true.
Very, very different things. Yeah, pretty good, and certainly worth the fucking 30% off thing. That's like what fucking $12 or something. So, very, very, very fun game, even if I don't understand what I'm doing. And then the last thing, I ordered a I've been thinking about doing it for a while, and I checked before, but it's fucking like $40 in the Xbox store. I'm like, I'm not giving those cunts $40 for a game that came out in 2015.
For what game?
Divinity Sin, I mentioned in the text chat last night. Yeah.
Okay.
And you said you played that before. You said you were playing that with Courtney at one point, right?
Yeah, we started playing it at first, and then like we both have it, and I can't remember what our thoughts were of it, but after like having played ESO for a couple years, like there's another couple that we played regularly in the guild with ESO that doesn't play ESO anymore that we were started playing with as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely we've dabbled in it a bit. Like it was pretty decent. It's a decent game.
I mean, it's a phenomenal game. Like Amy and I played it years ago. I think it was on the PS4. Played it a ton, and then it like broke on us. We like, at least we think it's tough because like we would get sporadic with playing it, and it's such a story heavy game. There's a lot of conversation in it and stuff, and that's maybe the biggest detractor. But it's very well done, and it's well, it's kind of irrelevant, but it's like very very detailed game, and we would like come in and out of it. And if you're like, if you can get in, you can come back after not playing a while. You're like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I have a quest log, but there's so much information in the quest log. Like and I'm sure we did because we got stuck to the point where like we don't know what to do. We can't, like, I think one quest broke, and then we couldn't figure out what to do from there or something. And then like, I'm sure at some point we went through every single line of the fucking quest log trying to figure out what the fuck to do next, and tried them all and just could not figure it out. So we ended up just quitting. We looked around. I think we even found maybe some Reddit posts that said we weren't alone in this happening, so that kind of supported our theory. So we ended up not finishing it, not beating the game. I don't even remember how far it was, and we played the shit out of it for a while, so I know it was not in the beginning. So we've tried this before, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen this time, of course. But yeah, I ordered a physical copy. It occurred to me, I was like, I don't have to pay for digital copies of these games from the fucking Xbox store. I can go on eBay, get a disc, even though I fucking almost forget that this thing has a fucking disc slot on it, and just pay, $12 or something for a disc. And yeah, I mean, I found a copy of it for fucking the enhanced version even. I don't think we played the enhanced version last time. They kind of remastered it. There's a 2 too, or a sequel as well, I believe. And I ordered this one and I wasn't even sure. I couldn't remember which one we played even. So there's 2 games of it, So if this works and we actually get through it this time, there's a whole nother one to do. But yeah, dude, it's an incredible game. It's real time. It's like, hyper D&D type shit, like really involved character developments. You create characters. I think eventually you can recruit additional ones to the party. But it's like real time moving around and exploring and stuff above and below, like in dungeons and on the overworld. And it doesn't really differentiate kind of. It's like that seamless, where it just doesn't matter. It doesn't have like a different tone or different operational feel to it when you go into a dungeon or whatever. And you get into the battles and it becomes turn-based, but it even does that in kind of like you have a certain number of action points, but like when you move around, it doesn't feel turn-based. You're not like moving on a grid or anything. It does a very good job of like trying to cut away the matrix of playing a turn-based battle game. It tries to make it feel kind of real-timey, which is a pretty cool mechanic implementation, I think. But yeah, it's super involved, million fucking spells, dude. You can all sorts of crafting, alchemy, spells, fucking weapons, creating your own weapons.
Wait, are we talking about 2 or the original one?
I'm talking about Divinity Sin original one right now, yeah.
Oh, okay. We played Divinity Original Sin 2.
Okay,
that's the one we were playing.
I'm sure. I mean, to my now, I'm guessing they're quite similar. I think because the first one, I mean, it did very well to my understanding. So I'm sure the second one is probably very close to the same. But yeah, I'm playing the original one, or we're playing the original one.
Okay.
Yeah, very fucking very 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 good, very good. And we just started last night. Amy was falling asleep because we went hiking, so she can't stay awake. But we started a little bit last night, and we're playing a shit ton more.